Herzlich willkommen zu Women Hit Harder, the Female Power Podcast.
Women hit harder. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Julia Dorny, and today's guest is someone whose story goes far beyond from wins, losses, or playbooks. This is episode 53, and it's worth the wait. He's been a coach at the NFL. He's been a janitor. He's lived and coached in Germany, loved the people, embraced the culture. He's real, raw, and respected by players on both sides of the ocean. Please welcome Jim Tomsula. Hi, Jim.
Hello, Julia. Great to be with you today.
I appreciate it. We finally made it. But Jim, before we go into football or anything else, I want to start here. What's something non-football related that shaped you into the coach and obviously man you are today?
I don't know if people want to take credit for what they've shaped. The family, my family, my parents, my extended family, and being taught right from wrong and how to work hard. Most of the people in my life that I have the utmost respect for, they're not, they're hardworking, blue collar. My father worked 3 jobs my entire life, take care of the family. My mother loved us and raised us and disciplined us. So, and then we had the extended family and everybody jumped in. And if you did something wrong, you're going to get cracked. And if you needed help with something, somebody's going to help you. So I think that, and then being a part of teams.
That's great. Thank you for the insight. Next one. My thing is always with the podcast, I want to ask questions people might have never been asked before or make it, somewhat special. So obviously you've been, which is really cool, and you're obviously going to tell us more about it, but you've been a janitor, a head coach, obviously a husband, a father. Which role taught you the most about presence?
Obviously, being a husband and a father is it's an honor that I hold dear. I think anybody that's a husband or a father holds pretty special. That is the most important thing in my life, and my faith. I'm a strong Catholic guy. So that's the number one priority in my life. Now sometimes those lines get crossed. You talk about being the husband and the father and then you're off on these careers, as you well know, Julia. I mean, in the profession you've been in with the MMA and things. I mean, it's it consumes you. It consumes your thoughts. It consumes your emotions. And sometimes when you get home, there's not much left. So there have been times in my life that I may have been saying that the family was the most important, but my actions, I was probably spending much more energy on the sports side of things, because it's weird. Again, as you well know, in these professional sports and things, it's your job, and you need to provide for your family. And I need to make sure that my family is taken care of, and they have their needs met, and obviously eating and a home and all those things. But in sports, it's that passion, it's that inward drive, it's that competitiveness, and that can really you have to check yourself. And thank God I've got a wife. My wife Julie is she'll check me, and so she's really helped me with those things when I do get a little bit screwed up.
It's really nice of you to say, always appreciate the close ones. Sometimes we're like so in it that we might not be able to see it,
Yeah.
but that's great.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a
last
great
question.
statement.
Yes.
You're so in it, you can't see it,
Yeah.
because it's like, you're right. You got to kind of pull yourself out of it and look at it from above and say, wait a minute now, I'm not going down. I'm not going the right way here. I've got to make a turn. I've got to adjust this thing. And and that is it. That is it. That's a great. I never thought about it that way. But you're so in it, you don't see it. I'm going to steal that. That's a great that's a great analogy.
Thank you. That's great that I could help you with that. Obviously, we're here to learn from you, though. But here, the last question about identity and humanity, obviously before football, is there a version of you from like 20 years ago that you've had to completely outgrow to become who you are now?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think for most of us, um, we have to outgrow. Now, I'm not a regret guy. Um, One of the things I tell my kids and even players that I've got, I mean, my life is a series of failures that got me to right here. And sometimes I'll tell them, fail forward. Um, and and again, just my son and I were just talking the other day, and he's, I said, I've been laughed at. I've been, mistakes I've made in front of millions, and you don't hide from those things. And the point for me is, um, I was either too dumb or too cocky to sit and dwell in my mess. Forgive yourself, okay, learn from it, and let's keep moving forward, and just keep going. And if you the only people that don't fail are the ones that don't take a chance, and again, I don't understand that. Um, I guess there's people in this world that feel really good and safe, and they stay safe and they go through life, and it's just very safe, and I guess that's fulfilling for them. I know for me, that's not fulfilling. I don't that doesn't work for me. I'm always looking for some kind of, what do they say? You got to look for a mountain to climb, and
Right.
and you know, and people are going to tell you you can't, you shouldn't, you wouldn't. I come out of a steel town. My family is all hardworking people. Nobody's in professional sports. Get out of it 3 times. I've been in sales, and I just kept. My wife actually told me to quit fighting it. Let's go, and so you people, oh, what are you doing? That's ridiculous. That's dumb. Why are you doing that? You can't do that. You're not good enough to do that. You're not going to be able to make that. You don't have any contacts. You don't. They give you all the reasons why not. Well, I've never been a person that listens to much of that. I'm just going to wake up today, do my job, do it the best I can, go like hell with it, and we'll see what happens.
I was gonna say, like, I used to, take this a lot in consideration, what people say or their opinions or whatever, until I got to this point where I was like, well, are these opinions paying my bills or are they not? Okay, fine, then just be quiet,
But
you know?
that's right. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And have it, and that's great. And if that works for you, good. But it doesn't work for me.
I was gonna
So
say
we're
only
gonna
share with me if I ask you for your advice, right? So I'm like, yeah, you can have your opinion, obviously, but if I ask you for your advice, you can share it with me. You're more than welcome, be my guest. But if I don't, then just don't say anything.
well. I mean, look at you, a woman in a very combative sport. Okay, I'm sure you have had the naysayers from the beginning. Okay, and they want to talk about you're fighting and being in a ring and doing these things, and I can't imagine the naysayers and the comments that you've gotten along the way. And if you stop and dwell in that, and you dwell in why you shouldn't be able to do something, then you're never going to see if you can do something. So
100%.
and I think you don't need anybody to give you anything.
No.
I'm more than happy to earn it. And again, I'm just gonna, and success is a whole lot of different ways. Now, it's not always money. It's that internal feeling. It's that waking up every day with a purpose. I mean, success is measured in a lot of different ways.
Oh, I 100% agree on that. So, Jim, let's talk about Germany, culture, growth, and meaning. So, obviously, I'm from Germany, and your connection to my home country runs deep, not just in coaching, but in how you lived it. Let's talk about that. So, question: what part of Germany brought out that America never had a chance to?
Well, again, we're based in Germany now. We've spent, well, the last 4 years there. And then before that, back in 2005, I think, we were in Germany. I was the head coach of the Rhein for the NFL Europe. And before that, I was 2 years, I lived in Berlin. Our family, we lived in Berlin.
Which is my
We were,
city.
yeah, and we lived in Teltow. And
Yeah.
that was our first experience. Previous to that, we lived in England, and then we lived in Scotland. And then we've lived, all over the place in Italy and France and all these through Europe, which has been phenomenal. But the one thing that really resonated for my family and I, you know, in America, my daughter is in the United States military, my second daughter, and she lives up in the state of Washington, on an island. She's based up there. We get on an airplane here in Miami and we fly for 6.5 hours and we land and we get off the plane and we're still in America. So if I'm in Germany or anywhere in Europe and I fly 6.5 hours, I've probably crossed 5 countries,
At least,
five
yeah.
different languages, 5 different languages, 5 different cultures, and so in America, as an American, you kind of you read about Europe, you read about these different things, but you really don't experience it hands on. To me, when you live in Europe, I mean, the people I'm in Dusseldorf, Germany right now. Boom, it takes them. I mean, they go for an hour on the train and they're at the beach in Amsterdam, or they're in France, or I mean, you're all over the place. So, we always used to talk about, different isn't wrong. It's just different. And, wrong is wrong, but different isn't wrong. It's just different. And you have to respect the differences. And one of the things that comes up in this whole world is no matter where you live, people are genuinely really good. People are good. There's a goodness to people. Humanity is good. And to me, I mean, there's bad people, don't get me wrong. But the real wisdom, and to me, the real wisdom in life is identifying good people versus bad people. Sometimes bad people look like good people. Sometimes good people look like bad people. And the true wisdom is to figure out where that is and what that looks like. So I guess I don't know if there was much like big learning, but there was just that it hits you. People speak a different language. They eat a different food. They go about their ways different than you do, but it's not wrong.
It's just
Embrace it.
different.
It's just different. It might be a little uncomfortable, but if you're a guest in somebody's home, be a guest. Assimilate to what the people want to do in their home and the way they do things. And so if you're a guest in somebody's country, assimilate to the way people do things in that country. And it's not your country. You're a guest. So learn, have an open mind. And I think that's what we've gotten. And my kids, the world's a very small place for my children, like you. Okay, Berlin's your hometown. You're living down here in South Florida. So, the world gets very small, and there really is. There's great people everywhere. They may do things different than you do. Step back, open your brain a little bit, and you might learn something.
It's perfect that you say that because it leads me to my next question. What's the most German habit or value you've taken with you back to the States?
Well,
I promise
yeah,
you good ones.
yeah. One of them is I love German beer. Okay, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I
Oh, it's
love
good,
that.
100%. Nach dem deutschen Reinheitsgebot.
Oh, love the beer. But what have we learned? I mean, just uh, I'll tell you something we talk about a lot is an American, and growing up in a pretty fast paced. I grew up in cities, pretty fast paced, moving, boom, boom, boom. Um, in Europe, it's in Germany, but all of Europe, but particularly Germany, it's more methodical. There's processes for everything, and where I want to get something done, I want to do it. Okay, so we made the decision. Here we go. Boom, done. Well, that's not how it works. Now we have to have another meeting, and we've got to make sure that we do some things, and I think it drives me crazy sometimes, but I think that has taught me uh, to really, after I make a decision, um, go spend a little time with myself, just to look at it again and just make sure that it's right. Maybe sleep on it, and then come, instead of being so abrupt, and so fast on things.
Yeah.
Um, and the guys over there will tell you I drive them crazy. I make a simple practice schedule for practice, and I see somebody doing something in practice, and they're really learning, and I see the coaches coaching, and that period in practice is supposed to stop, and we're supposed to move on to something else, and I'll hold it. And I tell them, oh, hold on. Well, they go crazy because the paper says it's time to change. It's time to change. Okay. And I'm saying, wait a minute. We got to adapt to this. This is a good moment. We don't want to miss this. So, that's an area that I think I've done a lot of learning in just in how to deal with that, and how to reflect a little bit more before a final decision is made.
So if you had to explain German coaching mentality to an American coach, what would you say?
Well, and again, we're talking about a sport that it's an American sport. I compare soccer or European football to American football. And when you grow up in Europe, you grow up in Germany, the Bundesliga and the European football, it's part of you. It's your culture. It's in the culture. It's you breathe it. It's a big deal. And in America, that sport is American football. So when we go to Europe, when American coaches come over, um, I do it. The essence of the game, the essence of like these guys, the German coaches work like crazy. They will memorize and study books and schematics and all these things, but the landscape for them to be able to apply it is just now being laid. So that foundation is just being laid. So now the application is the big thing that we as Americans, as American coach, that I can help with uh, now. Schematically, I have guys in Germany. They'll blow my mind with the schemes and that's a German way too. Love to think through those things and thinking through those processes and really breaking it down and getting the schematics and the plans. And then the application, sometimes things don't work perfectly. So we've got to be able to adapt within that structure. And that's part of the fun of what we're doing there. But American football definitely has a place, particularly in Germany, with the strong mind, a toughness, a mental toughness. That's there. That's it's part of that culture. So that's to me why Germany is the biggest spot that this American football works in Europe.
Jim, I wanted to ask you if there's a German word to throw you off a little bit that makes you smile, that you miss a little bit saying, or is anything that stayed in your mind? Any German word?
Well, I get a kick out of there's about 12 different ways to say, what is it? Guten Morgen, Guten Tag. One that gets me in trouble all the time is I thought when it got dark outside, you told people Gute Nacht.
Gute Nacht. Oh, well,
Yeah, they said, no, you pretty much say that to your wife. You
yes.
know, and I'm telling
It's like
guys,
when you're
Guten
in bed. It's like when you're in bed or something, you say Gute Nacht. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm ready to fall asleep now.
yeah. I'm leaving the bar. I'm telling everybody Gute Nacht, and they look, but no, I don't know a lot of Deutsch. I've tried to learn it. I mean, that's a very hard language to learn.
And also, I was gonna say it's funny because Gute Nacht, we say the it's good night. But
Yeah,
when you say Gute Nacht, Nacht is naked. So everybody's saying Gute Nacht. Okay, fine, I
well, that's
understand.
probably what I'm saying. They're hearing good naked. Okay.
Oh yeah, probably.
And I thought Scheisse was a word, and it's not.
It is a word.
Is it?
It's literal shit.
Yeah, it's a curse
But you
word.
also say this when you curse. You're like, oh man, scheiße.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I put some more. I'm good with the Dankeschöns and the Entschuldigen and you know, but a lot of the words I and the way things are said when I tried to learn it, it's like backwards in my mind. The way the structure of a
Oh, it
sentence.
is. It's completely different. Sometimes I say when I get tired or when I'm distracted or when my brain is not focused enough, I say I speak Dinglish or Germlish.
Right, I got it. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's the but I love, and it's a very curt, strong language. So I get a laugh all the time. The guys will be talking to each other, and I tell them, I don't know if you're fighting, or if you're yelling at each other, or you're telling each other you love each other.
I've heard this one before.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's dive into NFL coaching philosophy. And people know you as a coach, but obviously what I want to cover with you is on third down. So I want to go deeper. What's a coaching lesson you once swore by that now makes you cringe eventually?
I think when I started out in coaching, um, trying to stay being too robotic, teaching, you have to teach the fundamentals, but taking a player's, nobody's the same. Everybody's different, and so you have to have a baseline to start, and you teach the fundamentals through that baseline. But now you need to let that expand to what each individual athlete has. So the result is what we're looking for. And if you have five players, at the end of the day, if all five are getting to the results with the fundamentals, but it should all be their own, using some guys' arms are longer, some are shorter, somebody's taller, somebody's shorter, somebody's got more strength in their legs, or they're strong, so taking the fundamentals, but now adapting the fundamentals to the athlete, and making it their own. To me, it has to be each. In American football, team sports, you want everybody. You can make everybody look like these robots, and well, if everybody's going to be a robot, then I don't need the great athlete. So taking those fundamentals and adapting them to what that particular athlete has so that they can reach their fullest potential. And I think when I was young, I know, I was more on the robotic side of this is precisely how you have to do it. and there's a fine line there that with keeping the core fundamentals and the balance and the angles in your body and all those things that all you athletes uh, know about, but then also adapting it to what that particular athlete has, or overcoming something that maybe that particular athlete struggles with.
Hmm.
Uh, so to get to the end result, which is that player being the best player they can be, or that athlete being the best athlete they can be, the best version of themselves
I
as an
love
athlete.
this one. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So
So that's
Jim, when
probably
you
my biggest mistake.
well, I once we talked about this failure, mistakes, whatever. It all made you the person you are now, right? With the knowledge you have now. So it's all was meant to be. Becoming from robotic or like training more robotic to more adaptive, So I think that's great. And that's also nice key learning that you are able to share this with the audience at this point.
Yeah. I mean, you got to make it your own. You do. I mean, you as a
100%.
fighter, I mean, there's things that you have certain skills that are better that are better than your opponent, and you need to maximize those skills. But then you're going to have some weaknesses that you've got to overcome. And so, to me, that's where the combination of the fundamentals and what a coach can bring to the table or a trainer can bring to the table. You bring that, provide it to the athlete, because if you're not making the athlete better, then you have no use as a coach. Um, and you see that sometimes with somebody that maybe was a great at their sport, and they were so gifted that now when they come back and they're going to coach it, it frustrates them because it doesn't happen as easy for somebody else.
I was
And
going to say this is also where the big, mental capacity steps in place too, like you can be really gifted, let's say gifted, or you bring to the table everything that you need in order to be successful. Then you have coaches that put their strategy or whatever on you, and because you try to perform it so hard, you like get in your head and you feel like you cannot do nothing anymore. So this is also, you have to pull the right triggers. So the
yeah,
mental
and
definitely plays a big role.
you bring up the point too, and to me that's another big point. I mean, we're in the people business. Okay, you have to start there. You're in the people business. Okay, they don't care how much you know
Yeah.
until they know how much you care.
Right.
Okay, so really giving a damn, really being invested in the if you are, as a coach, to me as a coach, if you're in it for your own fulfillment of uh, success and statistics and wins and losses, uh, to me that's the wrong approach. To me, it's about the athlete and helping the athlete uh, to grow and have that success for themselves. And um, if you look at most coaches and trainers, uh, they used to do the sport they're coaching.
Mhm.
And what happens is they're too old, they're too fat, they're not in good enough shape, and they're not good enough to compete anymore. So now they go into coaching. So really it's weird because you get fired as the athlete and then get promoted to train the athlete. And you've got to it's all about the athlete. It's all about them. And again, if they're it's mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and spirit. If it's not all lined up, okay, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work. If the athlete doesn't feel that, because if I'm going to coach you, the most important days I have as a coach are when you, the athlete, walks into the room, and you don't feel like it today.
Oh yeah.
It's not, yeah, it's not, whatever, the coffee machine broke, or the you got a ticket, or your car broke down, and you're not in the right space to train today. That's where I, as a coach, I have to push on you. I've got to, okay, when you're an athlete and you're fighting through something, and you're working on a particular form, or you're working on a particular movement, and it's been a week and you're not getting it, and you're frustrated, and that's a huge word for me, is frustration.
Hmm.
I call it the F word, and frustration makes you worse. It doesn't do anything to make you better. So we've got to get that frustration out of here, and replace it with a determination, with a way to work through this. So that's I mean, there's a big, you're dealing with people, and people are just not. It's just not about the particular movement, or the particular technique, or the particular schematic. It's about the human as a whole. And if you're not going to take care of the human as a whole, then I don't think it's ever going to work.
But I mean, that's important that you say that, because you know that it's very interesting. Like, you need to be a little bit empathisch. You know the word empathisch?
Yes, I do know that word.
That's that's so, so, so important. And I feel like most people in that business are not. They're just not empathisch enough to understand what actually is going on.
Yeah. And,
So, but it
and
seems like
everybody,
you are, which is good, you know?
well, again, Julia, I mean, you're still in the middle of your career, and you're still, there's a whole lot of things going on outside of that dojo, and they don't stop.
No.
They're going to keep going. And
Yeah.
now, we say we've got to, all right, you got to block that out. You've got to compartmentalize, and now you've got to train. Well, that's a bunch of, excuse my language, that's a bunch of bullshit for some kind of a motivational speech. Okay? That's not real life. Real life is, all right, you come in as the athlete, we need to work through this for a few minutes. All right, wait a minute. Let's stop here. All right, go get a drink of water. All right. Go into the locker room. All right. Maybe you need to go take a cold shower. Okay. And get back out here. All right. Now
Yeah.
here we go. Calm down, deep breath. Let's roll. And getting a reset, and being able to get into the right mind space to be able to go get better today. Okay. And it's not just because you show up doesn't mean you're getting better. Okay. That doesn't make you better. Showing up doesn't make you better.
The
Okay.
first step.
It's a first step, but it doesn't. It gets you in the room, and
Yeah.
and and now what do you do when you're in the room? Let's maximize the time. Okay, I don't want to waste your time as an athlete, and doing that's like everything we do. A big thing for me with an athlete I'm coaching is I want them to always ask. So if I tell them, hey, all right, we're going to do this drill. If you don't, if my job is to explain to you why we're doing that drill, and how that drill is going to make you better, and how that
Right.
drill is going to take you to the dojo, or to the octagon, or to the playing field, and help you have success. So I always want you to know why we're doing something, and how that pertains to your success, and where it falls in that growth of you becoming the best you can be.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Um, I actually wanted to really know from you, when you step into a locker room, okay, what's the first thing that you feel for?
I love a locker room. I absolutely, um, I make reference to this all the time. Uh, it- Again, I'm in football, so that's the locker room that I know. But a football locker room is is the safest place to be. It is. I've been in these locker rooms. People talk about, there was a big thing a few years ago about the first gay football player being drafted in the NFL. Okay. And people made a big deal about this thing. I've been coaching gay players for 40 years, 35 years. Okay. And everybody in that locker room knows they're gay. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. Okay. There's Catholics, there's Jews, there's Muslims, there's agnostics. Okay. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. Just be you, be a good teammate, be a good dude. Okay. There's black, white, China. I mean, it doesn't matter. Nothing. When you go in that locker room, you're part of a team, and the team is a football team. And you go out and you work your tail off, and we all work together for a common goal, and that's to win a game, or win a practice, or win a championship, or whatever that is. But you're working together, and nobody cares. It is an absolute magical place. It is. It is. I mean, obviously, you're going to have your disagreements and but they get handled in the locker room. It gets handled, and everybody handles it together, and they walk out, and it's all fine. And to me, that's the magic of an American football locker room. And if you think about it, in American football, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, they play their whole lives. They'll never score a touchdown. They never touch the football. Well, every other game, if you play soccer, European football, everybody touches the ball. If you play basketball, everybody touches the ball. If you play baseball, everybody touches the ball, everybody bats. Okay. In American football, that's not the case. Okay. Rugby, everybody touches the ball. Okay. It's not the case in American football. So there's different jobs and different responsibilities, and they all have to come together and work. And that's what makes the game that I coach so much different, in my opinion. You know, but that part of that's the locker room. There's an energy in a locker room that you just feel.
Vibrating.
Yeah, it's just an electricity. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And you can't really explain it. And you can't really, if somebody's never felt it, you can't really teach them it. You have to experience it.
Right.
And probably the last thing, which will sound gross, but the smell.
Yes, it's pretty gross, especially men full of testosterone.
Yeah, but I love that smell. God, you walk in that locker room and that smell hits you, and it's like, yeah, I'm home.
We're here.
I guess it's like a farmer at the barn, smelling but I mean, that's what's so cool. And the other thing with athletes like yourself, I mean, people talk about all the skills, and they talk about the physical skills and all these things. The one thing that's amazing to me, that I crave, that I love, and when I'm not in football or I'm not in athletics, that I miss terribly, is the competitive nature. I mean, I can be in a locker room with millionaires in the NFL, guys that are just millions and millions of dollars. And if I take a penny and throw it across the room and say, whoever gets the penny will be the champion, they will kill each other to get that penny. There's a competitive nature there it's just amazing.
Oh, I feel you. I feel we've all been there, done that.
Yes.
But Jim, I mean, obviously we could fill probably nights and days with, this topic. But we have to talk a little bit about your personal life as well, because your story is, the nature of your own story, and it's so interesting because you've been so hard working, which you said obviously yourself in the beginning of the podcast, to actually do the coaching, what you had to do in order to be a coach. If you would share this with the audience, that'd be great.
It's not me, it's we. It's my wife, my partner, my best friend. Again, she was the one. I kept fighting it to get out of the athletics, because I mean, I was 40 years old with two daughters, my wife, and we had no money in the bank. I didn't own a home. We had nothing. 5 years later, I was a millionaire, and that's how crazy it is. But if you ask my wife, those times up till we were 40 were actually much more fulfilling in a lot of ways. And but it was a journey that we took together. and I couldn't have done it without her. We couldn't have done it. It's not a me. It's not an I. It's a we. Um, and there's not a lot of money in football. There's money in the NFL. There's money in major, but there's very few of those jobs. There's very few of those things. So we got into coaching just because we love the kids. We want to help the kids. We wanted to, thought we'd be a high school coach, maybe a small college coach, and do those things. And so when there's not a lot of money in that, you still got to pay the bills, and we still had to buy diapers, and we still, So my wife was, she had one on her hip, the other was running around, and she was coaching swimming. My wife swam, here. She was a big swimmer, and so my wife taught swimming, and she was a swim coach, and she'd take the kids with her, and they were on deck, and she was doing that, and I would work the football during the day, and then at night all kind of whatever could make you a buck. If I, cleaning the floors at a Kmart or cutting firewood, building locker rooms for Charleston Southern, cleaning Bill Blanton's insurance agency. Any job that we could that I can make a few bucks to be able to pay the bills, and then I sold entrance matting. That was a hoot. But probably the toughest part was we went down, and I was at Catawba College, and I was a volunteer, and I was living in my car with a dog and a cat. And my wife had the girls, and they were maybe 3 and 1, and hell, they were younger than that. And so Julie would go visit my family in Pittsburgh. Then she went over and visited her family in St. Louis. And then her mom and dad lived down here in Florida. So on her way down to Florida, she would stop, and I'd get to see the family. And that was about maybe once a month. And that went on for about 6 months. So I would, I had a little wind-up clock in the car, and then I'd come take a shower in the locker room. I worked for old David Bennett there at Catawba College. And I'd put on a suit, and I'd go out and sell entrance mats, and for 4 or 5 hours, and then I'd come back and do football the rest of the day and save the money, and then we lived in a fishing cabin on Lake Norman in North Carolina, and Julie and the girls came down, so we were all together, and I had a buddy Guido there that was working in NASCAR, and so we all lived in this thing, and again, I tell you, I'm a Catholic kid. Lo and behold, I get a phone call from a guy that wants to know, a guy named Tony Allen. He works for the London Monarchs in the NFL Europe, and they need a football coach. And somebody recommended me. I didn't know. Then there was another guy. Anyway, long story. A week later, I'm coaching for the NFL Europe League, and I'm in training camp in Georgia. And a month later, I'm in London, England. I went home and asked my wife, "Hey, do you want to do this?" She said, "Hell yeah, let's go." So there we were, living in a hotel room. My wife, for 10 years, my wife lived in a hotel room with 2 beds and our 2 girls. They were 3 and 1 when we first went to England. And for 10 years, we were in England, we were in Scotland, and, I told you Berlin, and we lived in hotel rooms. And my wife made it this unbelievable adventure. My girls have seen the world. We didn't have any money. We didn't make much money at all. But it was maybe the richest. We were probably the richest people in the world with Julie taking the girls, and they would go and see and experience. Yeah. So it was really, it sounds like a terrible, hard, for us, it was pretty amazing. It really was. It was an amazing journey, and we loved every minute of it. My wife assures me she loved it. Now, most women I speak to say, "How in the hell could your wife live in a hotel room with 2 beds?" And I remember my wife, she would get food at the different stores, and we'd put a towel down on the floor in the hotel room, and we'd have a picnic, and that'd be dinner. It wasn't like we were going to big restaurants. We didn't have any money, so it was really a wonderful time for us. We were really, really, really blessed.
You know what? I love that story. Sometimes you just have to do certain things. Just like me. I had everything going for me in Germany, my TV career as a journalist, everything. Everything was safe, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to look back at my life and regret anything. So I was like, you know what? I have this chance right now, right here, right now. I gotta do it. There's just no other way. Was it easy? Oh my God, of course not. To leave
Uh,
your entire family, friends, network, apartment behind. I mean, obviously these connections with people, they're still lasting, right? But the apartment and all that, it's just stuff. Obviously, some of that stuff, trophies and medals and whatever, kids, books, pictures, all that stuff has a meaning, but you can still put it in boxes. But other than that, it's just stuff. You can buy everything anywhere at any time with globalization going on.
that's right.
So so I was just like, was it easy? Oh my God, of course not. Was it really hard? Did I feel lonely? For the first 6 months, I was still working, for Deutsche Welle, my previous employer, according to the German schedule, which meant I had to go to bed at 8:30 at night in order to get up at 2:30 in the morning to start my shift at 3. I did this for 6 months. Was it easy? Was I burned out? My body was giving me serious signals, to like
Yeah,
adapt. And I had no private life whatsoever because we're just in a gym with the same people training and training 2, 3 times a day plus the job. Like, where the hell do you meet people if you're just at home at the gym?
that's right. That's
So
right.
anyway, I took that risk, and looking back at it now, what it taught me was definitely to be resilient and to just still go for what you had in mind. And am I at my destination yet? No, of course not.
No.
But
I don't know that we
that's
ever,
what they
I don't
say,
know that we
trust the
ever reach that
process.
destination. I don't
Right.
know that we ever reach it. I think we just keep finding new mountains to climb, and we just keep going. And it's Julia. I would like to say this. I'm a proud father of two daughters and a son. But my daughters, and at this time in the world, and all the things going on, um, I've always been a big advocate for females in sports, and I always told my daughter, you can do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. Now you need to choose on how you want to live, and you need to
Right.
choose, and those are decisions, and decisions have consequences. Okay, but you can do whatever you want to do, and one of the things that I love, and I think you're a great example of it. Okay, I'm happily married. I know Tommy, your man. Okay, so I'm not looking for a fight, but my point is, you can be strong, tough, smart, and beautiful all at the same time. And that's what I try to tell my girls. You don't just be you. Just be you. God doesn't make mistakes. So therefore, you're perfect. So is it always going to look pretty or nice? No. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Okay, but you've got the moxie. You're going to fight through those things. But be you. And I think you're a great example for young women. And if you want something, go get it. And you may fail. So what? So what?
I was going to say failure is just in your head because you define your own goals and your own destination.
That's
Nobody else sees
that's
it as
right.
failure but yourself. And
That's
that's
right.
also what resiliency teaches you. So that's
Yeah, I think you're a
for
great example.
everybody else, it's just a success story. And you're like, man, I just don't feel it right now. But if you take the distance that you need in order to see it, you're like, man, I actually came far.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And you did it. You took a chance. Bet on yourself.
I took a chance 100%. Yeah. Well, Jim, uh, this is a good question because it's kind of, starting to sum up our podcast. So if this podcast were the only record of your life left behind, what would you want this episode to say about you?
Oh, ooh, boy,
Ooh.
that's deep. Um, I don't, I don't know. I mean, I'll say how I feel with my family. Uh, you know, when I'm dead and in a box, and they stand at my funeral, if my wife or my children or anybody I love says anything about football in the first 10 minutes of talking about me, then I failed. Okay. Uh, I really, what I've tried to do in my life is football is not who I am. It's what I do. Um, I want my children to say, hey, he didn't always do it. He made a lot of mistakes, but the guy was trying to do the right thing. He made a lot of mistakes, but his heart was in the right place. He loved us with all of his heart. He loved us with all of his heart, and he always had our back. And for my kids, I hope they would say he treated his wife the way she deserved to be treated, and he loved her with all his heart. I mean, that's I want to be the friend that tells you that your outfit doesn't look nice.
Oh yeah, hell yes.
I want to be the friend that tells you, you need a tissue. Uh,
You have
uh,
something between your teeth.
yes, that you know what I mean. I want to be that friend. Okay, you might not
Yeah.
always like it, but I'm looking out for you.
Oh hell
I
yes. I'm
know
always gonna say thank you so much. Like, why did nobody else tell me that? Like, I have had this for like 5 hours at this point. Man,
that's
and I was in front of a camera.
exactly. So that's kind of that's God knows you're not going to meet anybody that's made more mistakes than me. And I've inflicted a lot. I have a lot of self-inflicted wounds. I've made mistakes. I've had to go back and look at it and say, "Whoa, who was I and what was I thinking?" Uh, but if you just try to do, you don't go wrong doing right. And I try to get that across. And the other thing I try to get across is the only attitude is gratitude. Be grateful. I mean, I mean, come on.
I feel like you're like what I'm thinking you're saying. It's very interesting. If you do things with your best by heart, with your best intentions, with best intentions, you can never fail. You're never gonna be wrong. You might be different, as we said.
There we go. That's right. Yeah.
So but that's beautiful. I like that. That's actually a very great ending, Jim. Man, I thank you so much for, being on Women Hit Harder. It's been longer than any other episodes I had in a while, but it's great. You have a
Sorry.
lot to say. No, no, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry at all. I love it. That's, what technique makes possible these days. So I would love to give you the last word on the show. Anything you want to say, except bad words, but I know you don't anyway. So, Jim, please, you have the last word.
How about every once in a while, maybe once a week, if if people could just stop and say, what am I being great at? What am I really doing well? What am I committed to? Big thing for me is focus and finish. Can I stay focused? Can I lock in and stay focused? Because if I can, and that sounds very easy, it's a very easy word to say, but to stay focused and locked in, then you can finish where you should. But if you don't have a chance to finish. And, I just think with all this stuff going on in the world and these phones and, everybody's instant gratification, some things are worth working for. Some things take some time, and that's okay. Keep working. Don't chase all the shiny lights. Um, and People are good. People really are good. Give them a chance.
I'm gonna say, like, imagine your life as seeds. Obviously, you need water, you need sunlight, and you need a base. But once you have all that, you might grow really, really nicely, you know?
That's right. Damn right.
Jim Tomsula, Women Hit Harder, episode 53. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights. I really appreciated having you on. And I wish you all the best and keep going forward, never
Hey,
backwards.
I gotta make a plug. Anybody in Germany, get to a Rhein Fire football game. Go to a Rhein Fire football. You'll have a blast. They're the best fans in the world. And even if you don't know anything about football, bring your kids. There's no hooligans. There's none of this craziness. It's a great time for the family, and go have fun with it, and check it out. It'll be a good time. Tell them Jim sent you.
Yes, tell him Jim Tomsula send you. And you want the Luftballons and the currywurst
That's right.
and the beer. He recommended the beer too. Alrighty, folks. Thank you so much for being on Women Hit Harder. Thank you, Jim, so much for your
Thank you,
time. I
Julia.
hope you have a great weekend, and I hope to catch up soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So, ihr Lieben, das war's für heute. Falls ihr Fragen oder Ideen habt, Anregungen, dann sendet mir doch gerne eine E-Mail an info@womenhitharder.com. Ansonsten bis in 2 Wochen zur nächsten Folge von Women Hit Harder. Bis dahin, bleibt gesund. Eure Julia.